Today we're talking about a whole new world with macro food photography. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and here we talk about food photography. That's why you're here, isn't it? If you love food photography as much as I do, you want to subscribe to the channel, tickle that notification bell so you get notified when I upload new content. Don't be shy, I'll wait. All right, cool, thanks for that. Today we're diving into something incredibly exciting and something that will get those creative juices flowing. Macro food photography. You know those stunning food shots where every little texture and detail just pops? That's what we're talking about today. We'll explore what macro photography is and those things you'll need to know to capture your own amazing macro shots. So what exactly is macro photography? In simple terms, it's capturing an image that is a one-to-one representation, meaning the size of the subject in your image is the same size or larger than it is in real life. Having said that, nowadays, pretty much any close-up is considered macro photography. It's all about getting up close and personal with your subject, capturing those tiniest details of food that we don't usually notice with the naked eye. The texture of a strawberry seed, the veins in a basil leaf, or even the bubbles on a cold glass of soda. Macro photography can bring out all these hidden gems. So why is macro photography so powerful, especially in food photography? It's because it gives the viewer a sensory experience. When we see food in such detail, it triggers our sense of taste, of smell, and even touch. That perfect droplet of sauce or the crisp edge of a freshly baked cookie can make your mouth water instantly. It creates a connection between the viewer and the food. Now to get those stunning macro shots, it's not just as simple as pointing your camera at your subject. You're going to need some gear to help you achieve a clean focus shot. And I probably sound like a broken record, as I'm pretty sure in all my videos I've talked about this, but you'll need a tripod. When you're working with such fine details, even the tiniest shake in your camera will cause your subject to be blurry. So get that camera on a good stable tripod and make sure you're using at least a 5-second timer on your shutter to give your camera time to settle from any micro jitters. Now it's easy for me to say you need to go out and buy a $1,000 macro lens because that's not always practical or feasible, especially when you're just starting out. And while a good macro lens is advantageous to macro photography, you can still get good macro shots with a kit lens and a set of extension tubes that adapt to your current lens for close-up work. The image quality will suffer a little, but if you're using those images for your Instagram or your social media, they'll be fine. On the plus side, extension tubes are a fraction of the cost of a macro lens. I'll leave a link to a good step down below. Just make sure you choose the right one for your specific camera brand and mount. Next up, you'll want to make sure you have plenty of light. However you decide to light your subject, whether you're using studio lights or natural light, you will need plenty of it. Lighting plays a huge role in macro photography. The details you want to highlight can either be enhanced or lost depending on how we light our subject. Here's a few quick tips. Soft light is your friend. It brings out the natural colors of food without being too harsh. Also, use reflectors to bounce light back into shadow areas. It helps even out the light, giving a soft and appealing glow to your food. And lastly, if you're using artificial light, diffuse it with a softbox or some DIY materials like parchment paper or a sheet. This softens the shadows and highlights, creating a balanced, pleasing look. One of the best reasons to use a tripod is you can slow your shutter speed down enough to capture all the light you need. This is especially helpful if you plan on stopping down your aperture to get more of your subject in focus. And since I brought it up, let's talk about that quickly, a little technical detail. To allow more light into the camera, we generally open our aperture wide, which in turn causes a shallower depth of field. Being that we're doing macro photography, we will have our lens very close to the subject, which exacerbates this issue. As the closer you get to your subject, the shallower your depth of field will be, causing the majority of your image to be out of focus. So to combat this issue, you'll have one of two options. You can either stop down your aperture, meaning you'll have less light coming into the camera, which is why I said earlier you'll need lots of light. The other way you can combat this is by focus stacking, meaning you take several images with varying focus points to achieve a proper focus on your subject. I'll link a video on how to do this right here. Finally, composition is everything when it comes to creating stunning macro food images. Because we're working so close to the subject, every little detail matters. Here are a few tips for better composition. The The first one, like I said in my very second video in this channel, is to fill the frame. Don't be afraid to get super close and let the food take up the entire frame. Also, for tip 2, focus on the textures. Texture is a major player in macro food photography. Highlight surfaces like the crispiness of a crust or the juiciness of a fruit. And lastly, keep it simple. One of the bonuses of macro food photography is its simplicity. There's no need to build a whole scene. 100% of the effort goes into your subject, so just keep it simple. The only real decisions you need to make will be about background color. Different foods require different approaches when shooting macro. For example, fruits and vegetables tend to have a natural shine, so you might want to reduce direct sunlight to avoid too much glare. Meanwhile, baked goods like bread and cookies have a deep texture, so side lighting can help enhance those shadows and textures. Play around with different angles, lighting setups, and compositions until you find what works best for the particular food you're photographing or what works best for you. I'd love to see any of your macro food photography. Tag me on Instagram so I can see some of your amazing work. If you stuck with me all this way, then I thank you for watching. If you found the video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up before you go. And don't forget to subscribe for more tips and tutorials on all things food and photography. Smash that notification bell on your way out so you don't miss any new content. And if you have any questions, drop them down in the comments below. I'd love to help. Have a good week, and bye for now.